Let's go! Let's go!
Hello everyone, and welcome to my guide. This is Dude with a Blunt, and today we're speaking about the Anomaly Pyro Ash Blast Overheat build. So first up, let's talk about the first synergy, which is the Heat Wave ability and the Akari set. So basically, every time you hit an enemy with a Heat Wave, you gain a 50% Anomaly power bonus, which stacks up to 6 target hits, right? Meaning that the maximum ability power you can have is 300%. But there is a caveat. You can hit the same target with 2 different heat waves and gain 2 stacks. Meaning if you have, let's say, 3 targets in front of you, if you cast double heat wave on them, you will get the max stacks, which is 6, which is also equal to 300% anomaly power. Also, if you notice, this bonus stays on you for 10 seconds, which is plenty of time to use your 2 other abilities, which we'll take a look at it right now. Right, so first up, we got the Overheat. So Overheat basically consumes statuses instantly across the map, right? It doesn't have any range limit, and does damage based on the status consumed and the amount of anomaly power you add when you casted it. Ash Blast is more of your primer ability, if you will. Basically, Ash Blast generates a slow wave around you, a circular wave that expands slowly, applying ash all around you. And so basically, right, these two abilities synergize very well and are the core of the build, allowing you to apply ash, right, over let's say a second or two across a right radius, and then using Overheat to consume that ash and do massive damage to any non-elite enemies. Speaking of elites, let's go straight into the elite killing. How to kill elites with this build. Now some of you might be wondering, right? Because the old build is centered around wiping weaker enemies. But basically, the thing to keep in mind to kill elites is your debuff abilities or your debuff mods, right? So you see here I have the burnout mod for my heat wave, and I have the death sentence mod for my ash blast. Basically meaning that my heat wave and my ash blast are debuff abilities, right? That will apply a debuff on an enemy or a damage multiplier, if you will. And so the key for this build to kill elites is applying your damage multipliers in a quick amount of time, right? So you cast, let's say, heat wave, and then ash blast. So what happened, right, is on that one elite, what happened is now it's taking 25% multiplied by 25% multiplied by 30%. Okay, so that's a massive amount of damage potential. But something to keep in mind is that there is a time limit, right? 8 seconds for burnt out, 8 seconds for death sentence, meaning that you want to stack up your debuffs, casting these two abilities as quick as possible, and then do damage with either Morning Winds, sorry, I had shadow comment on that, with either Morning Winds or Overheat, or both at the same time, right? And so keep that in mind when trying to kill elites. Stack up your debuffs, consume Morning Winds, they're dead. That's simple. And now let's talk about Morning Winds. Morning Winds is actually very simple to use. Basically, right, you just empty a weapon, and at the start of the reload, Morning Winds will activate. Oh, right now my weapons are not, they don't have Morning Winds on them, but you can just ignore that. So basically, right, I'll just empty my weapon and just swap to it like this, right, and boom, I'll keep my main weapon at 9. And since I'm on PC, I've went into the inputs, right, and I've separated every weapon, so I'll put one on Q and my other 2 weapons on the mouse wheel, right? So that allows me to swap, cancel the reloads always, so it doesn't fully reload, and proc the Morning Winds like this, right? Very simple. and I keep the main weapon at max ammo, or at 9 actually, and I just reload it, right? And then swap away, reload. But obviously, it is simple, but it's not easy to incorporate in the gameplay. So it will take some time to get used to. And also another option you can do if you're on controller, right? If you're on console, is instead you have your two main weapons at 9, right? Since you're not able to change the controls on console, you have your two main weapons at 9, and what you do is you reload, swap, right? Between your main weapons, right? And you only empty the pistol. So you swap and then swap to your pistol, swap back. Then when you want to do your main weapons, morning winds, you just reload, swap, right? Oh, I made a mistake there, but yeah. Reload, swap, swap. Okay, I'm not used to this technique obviously, but you get the idea, right? Is keep the two main weapons at 9, pistol empty, reload, swap, pistol, swap, right? That's the strat for console, and I've inspired this idea. I know I've copied this idea from Full Metal. Thank you, Full Metal, my man. All right, so first version of the build. This isn't the best or fastest version of the build by any means, but it is the most versatile and independent version. So basically, we're going the bottom tree variant of the skill tree here, which is the gives us the most overheat damage, and also we have anomaly power on every single piece, allowing us to clear in any situation, be it in trios with your buddies or solo. And the advantage of this build versus the others is that it doesn't need bonus AP to clear in trios. And just to give you an idea, right, like some more context, one piece of gear has 13.9k AP on it, but with a Kari that's tripled or actually quadrupled into around 60k AP. So that's basically the whole idea behind this build, right? Sacrificing a bit of CD for more damage, for more reliable clears. I'd like to thank a ubiquitous killer for bringing this to my attention. I like to call this the UB build, my man. Thank you. All right, so that's the build I'd be most comfortable recommending to any casual player. People that don't want to swap their builds all the time, or playing with friends that don't have any special builds. But let's look at the solo top tree build. So this build is very interesting because we're going into a firepower tree. But basically the reason why we can go a firepower tree is Akari, right? Akari gives us so much anomaly power that we can get by without any anomaly power from our skill tree. And also, to be fair, there is a lot of damage on the top tree, right? There's ash damage, there's resistance piercing, there's a vulnerable on ash, there's a some melee damage, some more ash damage, odd situation which gives you anomaly when you cast ash blast, right? So it's not like this tree is lacking in damage. So basically, we're losing value by going these weapon damage nodes, but we get all that value back by having insane CDR on all our abilities and doing enough damage thanks to all these damage nodes that affect our build, right? Because Ash is the status central to our build. And yeah, like I said, basically we are sacrificing, overheat damage, but the trade-off is, we have better damage with our morning winds, right? We have incredible cooldown on all our abilities, so it's definitely worth it to go this build in solos. Alright, so now we'll look at the duo top tree variant, right? So same idea, we're going top tree for the ash damage, for the insane CDR on ash blast, which allows us to clear more often, right? Because really ash blast is the limiting factor of your clears more often than not, right? So the only difference is we're sacrificing Captain Hunter because hopefully in duos you have a partner that's able to shore up the elite damage, and we're also sacrificing Incinerate, which is actually very good, but for with this build basically the idea is that you have a teammate to help you. So we're sacrificing Incinerate and the Heat Wave cooldown to go for better damage, right? To allow us to clear in duos because of the health scaling. Since enemies have more health based on the amount of players, you need that extra damage from these 5 skill point, right? These 4 skill point to more reliably clear in duos. Alright, and now the last version of this build is the trio version. So this one is, very similar to the first build I showed. It's a bottom tree variant. The only difference is we're going for more CDR, right? This is more a speedrun build because you need a techno with aura of force, let's say, to clear. There's also some other ways to get AP from your teammates, but mainly the one I've used is a Technomancer with aura of force. Alright, all those builds are more niche, but are very effective at what they do. But I'd still recommend the first build, for more casual players. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed those versions. So let's get into the more in-depth and more complex explanations for the different mechanics of this build. So first up, right, let's speak about health scaling. So basically the reason why there's these different versions is because the health scaling of enemies changes based on the amount of players in a game. And so basically each build sacrifices different things to get more overheat damage, to get those reliable clears. So that's something to keep in mind, right? And those builds are also, you can drop them down if you will, like use the trio build in duos or use the duo build in solos, right? Based on your preferences, for sure. But with all that in mind, let's go to the combo. So first thing with any combo, right, is stacking up Akari with Heat Wave. And also something to remember is that, like I said earlier, right, not only can you hit the same enemy multiple times and gain stacks, but it's also a debuff ability thanks to the burnt out mod. So there's 3 things to keep in mind, right, with when you cast Heat Wave. So how many targets will I hit with my Heat Wave, right? First question. Second question, do I need to change my targets, right? So let's say you only hit 2 people with your first Heat Wave. That is probably a good idea to maybe walk forward or change angle to hit 4 people possibly with the second Heat Wave. And the last question is, am I hitting an elite? Am I debuffing an elite so I can then kill it, right? After I've cleared everything. And so those are the things to keep in mind with the Heat Wave, right? Before using Heat Wave. Let's speak about Ash Blast now. So Ash Blast is a very interesting ability. So basically when you cast Ash Blast, right, a kind of orb basically expands around you, slowly ashing targets hit by the wave. Also something to remember, right, is this: if something spawns after the wave, right, it'll still get ashed. I guess it's like a quality of life thing they made for the ability. But yeah, basically, right, the Ash Blast slowly expands and also is a debuff ability. So that's also something to keep in mind when killing elites. So right, Ash Blast slowly expands. In comparison, Overheat is instantly applied across the map, and so basically that's the reason why you'll hear recommended wait 1 or 2 seconds. Right, you cast Ash Blast, you wait 1 or 2 seconds, and then you Overheat, because the propagation speed of Ash Blast is slow, but the Overheat is instant. Right, so if you Ash Blast Overheat, what'll happen is you'll only kill things immediately around you, and the stuff out of the Ash Blast range or not ashed yet will just don't not get any damage. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, I spoke a bit about it earlier, but Overeat's damage is actually different if you consume burn or if you consume ash. Now don't ask me why, this isn't written anywhere in the game, but basically, right, if you consume ash, it does around double the damage of if you only consume burn. And this isn't the master consumer thing where you consume both. Literally just consuming ash does double the damage for whatever reason. Also, Overheat is also an interesting ability because it can be used with no statuses applied, right? So let's say you walk into a room and you're getting blasted from every angle, you're about to die. You can cast Overheat and basically full heal yourself, because the little bit of damage it does, tied with your skill leech, right? Tied with your skill leech, will full heal you. And not only that, right? Not only can you use Overheat as a kneeling tool, but also a stagger tool, right? If you want to keep, you see enemies are starting to spread out, and you want to keep them together, right? Overheat will stagger him, and keep him locked down for like 0.5 seconds. So that's another use for the Overheat ability. Also, I wanted to mention a couple more things about Ash Blast. So before casting Ash Blast, right, your position on the map matters. So just make sure that you're in a more central position, right? So you hit, a wider radius of enemies on the map. And another thing that's very important for this build specifically is a status power of 60%, right? So you need at least 60%, because if you have under that number, right, what will happen is you will cast Ash Blast, and the target closest to you will get ashed first, right, when he gets hit by the wave. But by the time the wave reaches its max range, the dude closest to you will lose Ash, right? So you need 60% status power to fully benefit from this combo. Also, just a quick callback to Moaning Winds. Moaning Winds is, you know, not only an elite killer, but also a kind of filler right between your combos, because there's gonna be downtime, so you can use it to kill a couple ads right around you. And also, like I said earlier, it's basically your elite killer, right? You stack your debuffs and you proc Moaning Winds, they'll do massive damage, and it's your main source of elite damage. So those are the two situations you use Moaning Winds. And like I said, for whatever reason, consuming Ash does more damage. But if you're interested in the more gritty, nitty gritty numbers, and why I even know that's a thing, right? Uh, I've used a tool that was made by Tragic, also called Fight Element, called the Pyro tool. The link will be in the description, right? And it's basically a tool to change to test different build ideas, right? To see the ultimate damage that will happen with different builds. Sadly, it wasn't updated with the recent phaser beam buffs, but it's still extremely relevant for this build, right? And basically any other build that isn't phaser beam. So yeah, also I want to thank Tragic slash Fight Element for the build ideas, right? He's basically the originator of the solo top 3 build. Also, I'd like to thank my boys Full Metal V and Pomerans for the amazing gameplay and just being my homies in general. There's different information I've used throughout playing this game, different threads and testing that other people have done. Obviously this is testing from single party people, so take it with a grain of salt. But these different threads and amalgamations of information, I'll link them in the description. Hopefully you guys can get some use out of that. I'll also put all my homies in the description. Palm, Full Metal, Tragic, Fight Element. These guys will all be in the description. A Ubiquitous Killer, I'll also try and put him in the description. Alright, boys. If you have any questions about the build, don't be afraid to come ask me in the comments. If you're interested in speedrunning at all, I'm speedrunning on my Twitch channel, if you guys want to come catch me. Hopefully you enjoyed the build, hopefully you learned something. It is my first time, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. I'll try and do more of these type of things in the future, and I hope you guys come back. Thank you.